I'm hitting y'all hard with the content today. I hope I ain't overloading you, but this is Mississippi in 1874. And at first glance, you would think that looks like a lot of YTs, huh? Now, this is different. This is the state of Louisiana, right? Right next to Mississippi. But around the same time, this is 1868. The other one's like 1871, like 3 years later. But you have nothing but black faces up in here, right? This is called the distinguished members of the convention and assembly. So it may not be the full legislator, but look at this. But let's go back to the other one here in Mississippi, because in 1874 to 1875, you would think at first glance these were YTs, but let's move in closer. Starting up at the top left hand corner, as we get in close, now you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 melanated faces, 7 YTs, right? YTs, right? YTs. Okay, they got some. Let's go down. This section is full of quite a few YTs as well, right? As you can see here. So quite a bit on this left side with some melanated ones over here. Pop on over to the right hand side though, you got nothing almost but melanation going on. Melanated, you know what I'm saying? Right here. Not him, and some mulatto looking folks. Mulattoes possibly, right? In between some of these, right? Mulatto. He looked like that nigga Jadina, that singer rapper dude. Mulattoes or regular black people. Mulattoes, regular blacks. Moving over a little bit further to the right, all of these are melanated faces, just about. And some mulattoes, right? I could be calling those out. I'm going off of a lookership, right? And as we go a little bit above these guys, you still got some melanated faces with some possible mulattoes up in here. Melanated. Look at that. You got a Spaniard up in there. You know what I mean? But okay. Spanish. But you got some melanated. And then the YTs come in. But even over to the further left, you have some melanated folks right here. So at first glance, you wouldn't think that could be a mulatto. And it's almost like you get to see it. Like I said, at first glance, you wouldn't think that most of this whole area is mostly melanated folks. And then you have some over here too. So almost more than half of this Mississippi legislator in 1874, just 9 years after the end of slavery, you have all of these people who have been not only put into position to be voted into office, but actually voted into office. Because around this time, the population was split 50-50 from the settlers coming in. It was around like 300 something thousand of them YTs and 300 something thousand black folks. Now, one thing you also notice is the mulattoes. And it's like this slow takeover. So imagine what I showed you with this in Louisiana. Imagine if this is what the assembly looked like. And then some of y'all fools continuously decide to want to keep mixing in with the YTs, like the YTs purposely try to do. I have tons of receipts of newspapers where they were saying that they wanted to mix intermarriages with the Indians. It says here, this is 1792. It has been suggested that the best method to facilitate the civilization of the Indians and attach them to the United States would be to encourage the intermarriage of YTs with them. Okay. And they did that for many years. That's 1888 intermarriages with Indians. That's over 100 years. And I got some from the 1900s. So what I was getting to is what you see is a gradual takeover of YT settlers settling in the area, intermingling and intermarrying on purpose with Indians slowly bringing the mulattoes in place while also having themselves in place, making themselves likely the majority over time because they don't put a bunch of mulattoes in there to act like they're the black ones, right? The main full blacks, and then they put in themselves until over time you start to diminish out as many of these melanated folks as possible. I'm sure there's a lot more to the story, a lot more to how this became an all white thing. Because after this, it goes from this to this in just by the 1920s. Let's zoom in on this one because remember, at first glance, it might just look like YTs. Here's one corner. Okay, none here. All right, a little bit further down, and I don't see anything but snowflakes. Coming over here. Hold up. We got one right there. All right, somebody done voted somebody in there. Possible mulatto. And over here, possible mulatto. So yeah, the takeover was pretty gradual but pretty quick. And you get to see through one state what one thing may have looked like, then to another, which at first glance seemed like it had a lot of YTs, but mostly more than half of this is melanated folks. Just about. And in less than 20 to 30 years, full takeover. Because they be playing.